If you've never seen a hurricane wear heels, you've clearly never met Goldie Karen. And on this particular Saturday, she was a Category 5 storm, headed straight for Gallery Luxe, the kind of boutique where they don't put price tags on things, because if you have to ask, you can't afford them. The doors swung open, and in she came, strutting like the floor owed her money. Heels clicking, hair bouncing, sunglasses big enough to be used as windshields. Heads turned. And why wouldn't they? Goldie didn't just walk into a store. She entered like she was making a season finale appearance on her own reality show. Now Goldie's got a gift. She can turn buying gum into an event. So imagine what happens when she walks into a couture store. She stopped dead in the center, gave the room a slow once-over, and said, loud enough for a few startled mannequins to hear, "All right, people, the queen has arrived. You may continue pretending you weren't staring." Enter Damien, the sales associate, who looked like he'd been on shift since the 1800s. Poor guy just wanted to fold scarves and go home. Instead, he got Goldie. "Can I help you?" he asked, with all the enthusiasm of a man asking a cat to stop knocking over glasses. Goldie put a hand to her heart like he'd just proposed. "Help me? Darling, I'm here to help you. Now, where do you keep the dresses? So fabulous they could cause a minor international scandal?" Damien pointed toward the couture section, and Goldie's gasp could have shattered glass. She made a beeline for a deep crimson gown that shimmered like it had been, stitched with the tears of jealous exes. Price tag? $6,200. Goldie stared at it. $6,000? For that much money? This dress better walk itself to the party, pay my bills, and whisper affirmations to me every morning. But here's where things get interesting. Across the rack there she was, Vanessa Fontaine, Goldie's unofficial arch-nemesis from every charity gala, silent auction, and champagne brunch in the Tri-County area. And guess what Vanessa was holding? The same crimson gown. Vanessa smirked. "I didn't know you shopped above clearance racks." Goldie's smile was pure sugar and arsenic. "I didn't know you could read price tags." And just like that, the air thickened. Two women, one dress, enough tension to power the mall's air conditioning. Goldie tilted her head, tossed her hair, and said, "Hope you brought a helmet, darling. This is about to get couture." Now, most people think the fitting room is a private, peaceful place, a sanctuary, where you can quietly decide whether you look more like a runway model or a disappointed potato sack. But not today. Not with Goldie Karen and Vanessa Fontaine in the same store, breathing the same air, holding the same $6,200 gown. Damien, bless his underpaid soul, tried to keep it civil. He gently suggested, "Ladies, we can check if we have another one in stock." But oh no, Goldie didn't want another one. She wanted that one, the one in Vanessa's hand. Because in Goldie's mind, if Vanessa got it first, the dress would be cursed forever. And honestly, she might be right. So Goldie, with the smile of a woman who's about to break at least 3 unspoken social rules, leaned in and said, "Vanessa, why don't we both try it on? You know, let the dress decide who deserves it." Vanessa raised an eyebrow, clearly weighing the risks of this dangerous couture duel. Then, with a smirk that could curdle milk, she agreed. Cut to the fitting room hallway, a narrow stretch of mirrors, curtains, and just enough tension to make the light bulbs flicker. Goldie slipped into her booth, and from behind the curtain, she began a running commentary on the process. "Oh, this fabric! It's like being hugged by wealth itself. Vanessa, are you still breathing in there, or did the dress eat you?" From the other side, Vanessa shot back, "Just adjusting it so it doesn't look like it's wearing me. You might want to try that trick someday." By now, the other shoppers had stopped pretending to browse. A small audience was forming, pretending to be interested in scarves while actually living for the drama. Even Damien had stepped back, arms folded, watching like this was the last 5 minutes of a telenovela. Finally, Goldie yanked open her curtain and stepped out. And wow, she looked like the dress had been waiting its entire life just to meet her. Sequins caught the light like paparazzi flashbulbs. Hair? Perfect. Attitude? Off the charts. Then Vanessa emerged. And annoyingly, she looked amazing too. The crowd of onlookers began whispering like they were the judging panel of a fashion reality show. Goldie caught one woman mouth the word toss-up, which, let me tell you, was not a phrase Goldie's ego had ever signed off on. She squared her shoulders, turned to Vanessa, and said, "Well, darling, I suppose we could be mature adults about this." Pause, hair toss, dramatic sigh. "But where's the fun in that?" And just like that, the fitting room hallway became a runway. And this was no longer about a dress. This was war. You know how in nature documentaries, 2 peacocks spread their feathers to impress and intimidate each other? Yeah, this was the human version. Only instead of feathers, it was sequins. And instead of a serene forest, it was a boutique where the cheapest thing you could buy was the air. Goldie took the first step onto the runway, also known as the 3 feet of polished marble between the fitting rooms and the accessories counter. Her heels clicked like a countdown. Her hips swayed with Olympic-level precision. And her smile said, "I've already won. I'm just giving you the courtesy of watching me do it." Vanessa followed, gliding like she'd just been knighted by the fashion gods. She twirled. She posed. She gave a soft laugh, probably rehearsed in a mirror for years. By now, half the store was watching. A guy in the corner actually whispered, "Is this, like, a performance?" To which Damien, the sales associate turned referee, replied without blinking, "It is now." Goldie, never one to be outdone, grabbed a feathered shawl from a nearby display and draped it over her shoulders mid-walk, as if she'd just stumbled upon Couture in the wild. She tossed her hair, stopped in front of Vanessa, and said, "Oh, sorry, darling. Did I block your light?" Vanessa, not missing a beat, slid on a pair of rhinestone sunglasses and replied, "No worries, sweetheart. My shine is self-powered." The crowd gasped. Somewhere, someone actually said, "Oh, this wasn't shopping anymore. This was a full-blown episode of Who Wore It Better, Civil War edition." And then, the inevitable happened. Goldie, in her zeal to deliver the most dramatic turn of the century, spun a little too enthusiastically. Her stiletto heel caught the edge of a display rug. For a moment, time slowed down. Shoppers froze. Damien mouthed, "No!" But Goldie Karen was no amateur. She caught herself mid-fall, turned the stumble into a dramatic drop-to-the-knee pose, and flung both arms out like she'd planned it all along. The crowd erupted into applause. Vanessa, clearly rattled, tried to match the energy with a dramatic hair flip, only to have her earring fly off and land in a nearby handbag display. Goldie smirked. The tide was turning. "Oh, Vanessa, darling," she said sweetly, "it's not about the dress anymore. It's about the moment. And I'm afraid, dear, this one's mine." The boutique was buzzing. The battle wasn't over, but Goldie had just stolen round one. If the runway was the opening act, then the register was where the real fireworks were going to happen. Because as every seasoned shopaholic knows, there's only one way to truly win a fashion feud, walk out of the store with the prize. Goldie knew it. Vanessa knew it. And Damien? Well, he was just praying this wouldn't end in broken glass or a police report. Goldie, still in the crimson gown, glided toward the register like she was closing in on a crown jewel. The crowd parted for her, some in awe, others purely curious about whether they were about to witness history or chaos, possibly both. Vanessa wasn't far behind, clicking her heels like a ticking clock. Click, click, click. Every step said, "I will snatch victory from your manicured hands." Damien cleared his throat. "Ladies, if you'll just—" "Oh no, Damien," Goldie interrupted, leaning over the counter like she was ordering victory off a menu. "Ring it up. The gown has chosen me." Vanessa gave a sharp laugh. "Sweetheart, the only thing that's chosen you is excessive dramatics." She slid her black Amex onto the counter with the precision of a mic drop. Gasps, actual gasps. Someone in the crowd whispered, "The Amex." "She's serious." Goldie narrowed her eyes. She reached into her clutch and pulled out, wait for it, a gold-plated credit card holder. She didn't just place her card down. Oh no. She fanned it across the counter like she was dealing high-stakes poker. Damien blinked. "You both want the same dress. I can't just—" "Sell it to me," Vanessa cut in. "Sell it to me," Goldie countered. They locked eyes. It was like watching two cats circling before a fight, except instead of hissing, they were smiling politely while plotting fashion homicide. Finally, Damien, sweet, exhausted Damien, offered a compromise. "Well, technically, whoever tries it on first owns that fitting room dress until they leave the store." Both women froze. The realization hit them at the same time. Goldie had stepped out first. Her lips curved into a slow, dangerous smile. "Oh, so I'm already the rightful owner?" Vanessa's jaw tightened. The boutique was silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. Goldie leaned closer, voice dropping into a victorious whisper. "Darling, swipe fast before she starts crying." The crowd's eyes darted between them, waiting to see if Vanessa would fight back or fold. Just when you thought it was over, Vanessa Fontaine decided she wasn't going down without one last swing of her designer handbag. Goldie's credit card was poised over the reader, victory practically humming in the air. The crowd leaned in like they were watching the final seconds of a championship game. Even Damien, who had clearly lost the will to live an hour ago, was bracing for the end. And then, Vanessa struck. With the stealth of a Bond villain and the subtlety of a marching band, she reached over, plucked the crimson gown's price tag, and snapped the plastic string right off. Gasps, literal gasps. You could almost hear the slow-motion no echo through the boutique. Goldie froze. "Did you just desecrate Couture?" Vanessa gave an innocent shrug. "Oh dear, without a price tag. I suppose we'll just have to wait until it's retagged, which could take hours. And unfortunately for you, I have all day. The crowd rippled with nervous laughter. Goldie, however, was not amused. This wasn't just sabotage. This was fashion warfare. But if there's one thing you should know about Goldie Karen, it's that she doesn't just react, she retaliates. She glanced at the pile of accessories by the register. Her eyes landed on a jeweled clutch, encrusted, sparkly, and very, very heavy. Without missing a beat, she picked it up, held it to the light, and declared loudly enough for the entire store to hear. "Oh my gosh, Damien. You didn't tell me this clutch comes with a matching crimson gown. I'll take them both." The crowd erupted. Even Damien cracked a smile. Vanessa's face? Priceless. She looked like someone had just told her sequins were going out of style. Goldie handed the clutch over with the gown still draped over her arm. "See, darling, the dress isn't just mine. It's part of a set. And breaking up a set? Well, that's practically a crime." Vanessa sputtered, searching for a comeback. But Goldie had already turned to the counter, her card sliding into the reader with the finality of a royal decree. The boutique held its breath. The battle was almost over. Almost. Because Vanessa Fontaine wasn't finished yet. Oh no, she still had one last dangerous card to play, and it was going to be messy. The boutique had been through a lot that day. Emotional turbulence, couture combat, and at least one casualty in the form of Vanessa's missing earring. But now all the chaos was funneling into this one final moment. Goldie Karen's credit card had just finished its swipe. Victory was seconds away. You could practically hear the imaginary drum roll. Vanessa Fontaine, however, was not built to lose gracefully. She leaned in close, her perfume sharp enough to count as a weapon, and whispered, "You do realize, darling, if you walk out in that dress, everyone will say it looked better on me." The crowd sucked in air like they'd just witnessed someone slap a royal. Even Damien, the sales associate who had been dead in the eyes for most of the afternoon, looked up in alarm. But Goldie? She didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled, slow, deliberate, dangerous. "Vanessa, sweetheart, if I walk out in this dress, nobody will even remember you were in the store." Boom, the verbal equivalent of a diamond-encrusted dagger. Gasps rippled through the boutique. Somewhere a woman near the handbags mouthed, "Oh my God." Vanessa's face twitched, the tiniest crack in her perfectly curated smugness. And then, in a last-ditch, desperation-fueled move, she reached for the gown in Goldie's hands, as if she could snatch her way back into victory. Wrong move. Goldie had been in too many social skirmishes to be caught off guard now. With a perfect pivot worthy of a ballroom champion, she spun out of Vanessa's reach. The crimson gown twirled dramatically in the air, catching every shard of light from the boutique's chandeliers. Phones came out. Shoppers cheered. Someone actually shouted, "Work it, Queen!" Like this was the final act of a Broadway show. And then Goldie did the unthinkable. She strutted straight to the boutique's front doors, stopping just where the sunlight spilled in. She slid on her sunglasses with one hand, lifted her shopping bag with the other, and held her pose like the universe was taking notes. Vanessa, frozen mid-step, clutched that lone earring she'd never gotten back. Her defeat was complete, and the crowd knew it. Damien, leaning against the counter now like a man who had survived the impossible, muttered to himself, "Every shift with her is an episode." Goldie tilted her head just enough to meet Vanessa's glare one last time. "You can't compete with the main character, darling, especially when you're just the subplot." With that, she pushed through the glass doors and vanished into the mall's golden light, leaving behind sequins, silence, and a story the boutique would be telling for years.